Welcome to New at NAMT, the next wave of musical theater writers, a series dedicated to spotlighting the emergent voices in musical theater. Every interview provides a unique glimpse into the creative minds behind the next big musicals. So whether you're a producer, theater lover, or even simply curious about the future of musical theater, New at NAMT offers a front row seat to a new generation of writers. Today, on New at NAMT, we'll be talking with the winners of the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students alongside their program mentors. Presented by the National Endowment for the Arts, NEA, in partnership with the National Alliance for Musical Theater, NAMT, in collaboration with Concord Theatricals, Disney Theatrical Productions, the NMPA S.O.N.G.S Foundation, the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge is a unique educational and professional development opportunity for high school students to write and showcase a song that could be in a musical. This past year, 7 winning songs by 8 student songwriters were selected to win the Songwriting Challenge. Those winning student songwriters traveled from all across the country to New York City in June 2024 for Winners Weekend, where their songs were fully orchestrated and performed live in a concert by Broadway performers. You can still watch the concert at home by heading over to the namt.org/challenge and see the first ever performance of these songs for yourself. Over the next little bit, we'll talk with the winners about their songs and the full Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge experience. It's time to lower the lights, raise the curtain, and LX1, go on New at NAMT. I am your host, Jean-Paul Yovanoff from Musical Theater Radio, and joining me each week is a rotating cast of Songwriting Challenge program mentors as our co-host. Before we get to today's interview, let's welcome this week's co-host, Tim. Tim, how are you today?
Paul, I am so thrilled to be here. I'm such a big fan of you and all you do. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for that compliment. I'm going to enjoy that for a little bit. So before we get to talking about our guest today, tell us a little bit about your involvement in the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge.
Sure, I would love to. Shortly before the winners came to New York, NAMT asked if I'd be a mentor, which for me primarily meant being a conduit to empower them to be their own best advocate. So there was a lot of you're going to be in a room full of like professional musicians and singers. And what do you do? And the answer is you say, this is the song that I wrote that won. And this is sort of where my intention is. And it can be super intimidating, even when you're my age, which is not young, but probably I imagine a little bit more so when you've not been doing it for many, many years. And so that was kind of how I positioned myself, I guess.
That's wonderful. And what was one of the highlights for you of the being a program mentor?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Because if you maybe don't know yet, or perhaps you do, uh, this cohort is insanely talented. They're off the charts talented rather. And one of the things that I loved the most, this happened a couple of times, and I'm not going to like out anybody, but when we got into that room, it was so interesting for me because I was watching them see what happens when like their creative vision is enhanced and imbued with like professional support, right? By both musicians and, institutions like NAMT and in particular, the performers who kind of just elevate everything to the next level. There were these moments, these sort of like these epiphanies, like almost of lack of recognition, like almost as if to say, did I actually make that? And then when they realized, yes, I did make that. It was just the most beautiful thing to see. So that was like my big thing.
That's great. It's always nice to hear the behind the curtains, aspect of what happened because we don't get to be a part of that. So thank you for, letting us know a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we get to know our co-host, let's get to the interview. Today we are speaking with Tabitha Moore, one of this year's Songwriting Challenge winners. Her song, What Did Love Do to You, is a poppy and levitating duet meant to question the meaning behind the rough boundaries set between two people and how to discover that every person should be unique unto themselves. Tabitha, welcome to New at NAMT.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the listeners and tell us a little bit more about your winning song, What Did Love Do to You, and what inspired it?
So, my name is Tabitha Moore. My pronouns are she, her. I live in Valley Stream, New York. And what did love do to you? It's about kind of the standards that many ethnic families uphold. Like my family, I'm half Haitian, half American. So, with my mother, she's the Haitian one. It was about marrying a Haitian man. And she did not do that. So I wrote about that type of essence, knowing that you love someone so much, but you can't share that with them because you're not supposed to in a way. So I wanted to write about what that's like.
Tabitha, if it's okay, I'm going to go off script just a little bit because I actually have a question that it's still about process. So answer how you are comfortable. Okay. I just wanted to give you a little heads up. But I've been thinking about this all day, and I probably should have brought this up earlier. As a singer and a performer, like that, having that skill set, does that feed into your process when you're writing a song? Like, are you thinking consciously about those things? And did that feed into this particular song? Like, any or all answers would be lovely for me.
Yeah, that definitely did. Didn't really I didn't want to do too much in a sense at first. Which is why when I did the second draft, I kind of changed things up because I was like, okay, I got to put everything out there. But it definitely did feed into it because I wanted there to be emotion. There are some songs that I've heard when it comes to either musical theater or just regular, like let's say pop music, and there's no emotion behind it. It's just words. And so I wanted there to be some essence of real life flowing through that, and so that whoever the performer is feels it. They don't have to go through that in real life just to know that it's real.
How did working with mentors like Tim push you to grow or step outside your comfort zone as a songwriter?
So Tim, first off, Tim is hilarious. Okay. I love working with Tim just because Tim loves to joke around. And so that was great already. But when we were there, and I was listening to my song for the first time, I was still a more timid person. I still am. But I I didn't want to say anything that I was thinking because I was just like, I can't. But Tim was sitting there, he's like, you know, you're here, right? And he's like, you can say what you want to say. This is your song. Get your ideas out there, you know, because this is why we're here. So working with Tim was just another way of authentically being who I was and getting that out there and putting that into my song. So I'm very grateful for that.
So to add to speak to that, like during Winners Weekend, was there a specific moment where everything kind of like clicked together for you? And what was it?
So there was, but it didn't happen until my last day last night. So I left a little early because I had prom the next day. But our last day, which was also the concert day, right as we were listening to like everything, it was kind of like our dress rehearsal-ish. Um, that's when things started to click. I was like, oh wait, this is actually happening. And I was like, wait a second. We just did this whole weekend and I didn't realize I'm right here. This is going on. So I was just like, oh my gosh. And everything was moving like in slow motion, but it was also moving fast. And I was shocked and elated at the same time.
Well, you might be happy to know that during that entire time, you were nothing but the epitome of grace and gratitude. So, like, know that. Um, Now, okay, so your song, when I remember your winning demo was just your voice and ukulele, and it went from that to being fully orchestrated with a totally different like soundscape, inspired a little bit by Michael Jackson's Human Nature. Tell me a little bit about Michael Jackson. Who is this guy, and what makes him think he's so great? I'm just kidding. Can you talk to us about the transformation and like what it felt like to hear your song for the first time on studio day?
So wait, I want to go back to that Michael Jackson cover real quick. Real
Okay.
quick. That man,
Yeah,
I
no,
grew
I
up on Michael Jackson. I'm gonna just say that. Especially Human Nature. That song just like resonates with me, and I don't know why. There's just something about it. Probably because Thriller is my mom's favorite album. So, but for Studio Day, that, oh my gosh. Okay. We're walking there to the studio, and I'm talking with another winner, Louisa, and we're both like so scared to hear our songs because we're just like, I don't know what to expect. Neither of us know what to expect. Getting there and listening to our songs for the first time, especially mine, I just like I was like, huh? Like, because I didn't think about getting as far as I did. And so sitting there listening to it, I'm a band kid, so uh it's like it's everything to me. Like listening to full orchestrations and getting to do that. And it was my song. It was just it was everything. It was everything.
How was it connecting with the other winners during Winners Weekend?
Everyone was so amazing. Like when I tell you, like listening to Louisa talk about her struggles with her song, and we connected on that because we were both like, I don't know if I should be here. Are we sure they made the right decision? Like, and we kind of bonded with that. Um, but the other winners like Owen or Gwen or our little combo Isabella and Maya or Sydney, they were all just like they were so welcoming. And me being from New York, I don't expect that from everybody. So yeah, I was very shocked with how welcoming they were.
From your experience in the Songwriting Challenge, what's the one piece of advice you'd pass on to other young songwriters dreaming of this opportunity?
Ooh. Um, okay, so when I first entered the program, I heard about it from my one of my teachers in my performing arts program, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I thought this was a regular songwriting challenge." So I'm like, "Let me get in there." And then I saw it was musical theater. I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to write that." But I took the chance. I took a leap because I was still a musical theater kid. Um, but I just had never written musical theater songs. So I took the leap and I dived into something that I didn't know much about when it comes to the process of creating it, but I knew how to tell a story. So I took what I did for writing regular pop songs. I like find artists and I analyze their techniques, their writing schemes and everything. So I took what I do for that and I brought it to musical theater. And instead, I didn't try and just write musical theater. No, I kind of tried to merge both worlds and make it seem like it's seamless, honestly. Like they're the same thing because in this, essentially they are. We're telling a story either way, a story of life, a story of grace.
Tabitha, thank you so much for joining us today and introducing the listeners to What Did Love Do to You? It was great meeting you today.
Thank you so much for having me. And I also want to give a big thank you to the National Endowment for the Arts, Concord Theatricals, Disney Theatrical Productions, and NMPA Songs Foundation for all of their support and making this program possible.
Of course, I also want to thank this week's amazing co-host, Tim, for joining us today. Tim, you got anything in the pipeline?
I do. Unfortunately, I'm not really ready to talk about it just yet. But yeah, I'm working on a new full length. I'm about halfway through Act Two. I'm very excited about it. Thanks so much for asking. In the meantime, if anybody's curious, I do have a weird blog on my website that I periodically write on, and there's fun stuff there, I guess. Yeah.
How do they get to the blog?
Oh, I can be found at www.timothyhuang.net, and you can link to the blog from there. It's right, yeah, around there.
Fantastic. You're not the first artist I've talked to who says can't talk about it quite yet, but that only means we have to have you back on at some point to talk about it when it is ready. And I look
Goodness,
forward to
sir.
doing that, Tim.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
And Tabitha, before we go, now you've already accomplished so much. Can you tell the listeners what's next for you?
So right now, I just finished my first semester of college, which was not great. Um, but other than that, I mean, I got into writing a little bit more because I kind of put it on the side. So I started writing a play, and um, I'm the type of person who jumps around. So I started writing a completely different musical, but we're not going to talk about that. But other than that, I'm just working on getting through.
Tabitha, congratulations on everything, and I look forward to seeing where everything for you goes in the future, and maybe we'll talk again then. That's all for today's interview, but we will be back with another fantastic winner and co-host next time. Once again, I am your host, Jean-Paul Yovanoff, and on behalf of NAMT and MTR, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you in the theater.